There we go.
There we go. That's it.
Yep.
It's good now. Good evening, everyone. We're going to begin the council meeting for August 9th, 2021. If you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, roll call, please.
Certainly, Mr. Odom. Mr. Delaney is absent this evening. Mr. Dern?
Here.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mr. Hadley?
Here.
Mr. Odom?
Present.
Mr. Pastor?
Here.
Mr. Vento?
Here.
Mayor Schlegel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of July.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dern.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the expenses for the month of July.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Dern. Mr. Thomas, if you would, please.
Yes, certainly. General fund payables requiring council approval, $261,548.37. Street improvement fund payables requiring council approval, $2,360.90. Fire fund payables requiring council approval, $15,302.48. Capital improvement fund payables requiring council approval, $128,470.03. Flood mitigation fund payables requiring council approval, $16,793.18. Emergency medical services fund payables requiring council approval, $16,886.18. 2019 bond fund payables, $337,290.43. Purchasing card direct vendor payments for public services, $168,108.20. Miscellaneous borough purchases of $84.34 for total payables to be approved of $946,844.11.
Having received a motion and a second, would you vote to approve the expenses for the month of July? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes of the July 12th, 2021 and July 26th council meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Hadley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Doyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recognition of achievements in the committee, in the community, excuse me, Mayor Schlegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is Michael Cerniglia here? Spoke with him today. He said he was coming. Okay. This is a certificate of achievement to, no, thank you, for Michael. He has, and one of the people, many people here in Plum that contribute greatly to the morale of our police department. I've spoken with several mayors, whereas they don't have a problem with morale, but theirs is nowhere near how high ours is. And that has to do with several of the citizens here in the community that show respect and appreciation for our officers. Mr. Cerniglia of Michael's Painting has come in every month and brought in cookies, brownies, and other sweets, as long as others, for the police officers to show his appreciation. Our chief over there before this, weighed us about 200 pounds. Now he's obviously.
Easy, Mayor.
Well, you know, what can I say?
Glass houses.
He's parked out in the parking lot. He's undercover.
Yes. So this is a certificate of achievement, and it's presented to Michael Cerniglia. Whereas thoughtfulness and service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges. And whereas volunteering of an individual's time and resources is an essential part of the American spirit. And whereas it is even more in evidence that Plum Boro's greatest natural resource is its people. And whereas Michael Cerniglia of Michael's Painting is a shining example of this resource and deserving of our praise and gratitude for making a positive difference in the Plum community. And whereas Michael Cerniglia generously volunteers his time and financial resources to ensure that our police were provided with donuts, coffee rolls, and other sweets every month for over a year. As a sign of his appreciation, the department's service to our community. Whereas Michael exemplifies the community spirit that helped to build Plum Boro and demonstrated that it is alive and strong today. Whereas each year, many citizens commit their time, talents, and resources to improve the quality of life for our entire community, few can achieve the degree of service and commitment of Mike. Therefore, be it resolved that I, as mayor, along with the police officers of Plum Boro, wish to honor and thank Michael Cerniglia for his wholehearted support for contributing to the morale of our officers and to their expanding waistlines. In so doing, I, Harry R. Schlegel, Mayor, call upon all citizens to help to renew and sustain the American spirit demonstrated by Michael in emulating his example and committing themselves to address the needs of Plum Boro through voluntary action. Signed this 9th day of August, 2021, Harry R. Schlegel, Mayor. And that, sir, is all I have at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Moving on with our agenda, civic announcements.
Hi everyone, I'm Pam at the Plum Library. Just want to provide a few updates. Our summer reading program has finished and we had more than 300 people in the community participate. So we had great participation this year. We will be having an outdoor concert on Tuesday, August 24th at 6:30 in the library parking lot with Plum's Dan Steislinger. Sorry for that, probably mispronouncing of his name. We will have the Sweets for the Street hand-dipped ice cream truck, as well as activities for kids with a music-themed scavenger hunt and a story stroll. One other thing is September is Love Your Library Month, and thanks to the generosity of the Jack Buncher Foundation, everyone's donation goes further in the month of September. For every $1 donated to any library in Allegheny County, the library will receive a portion of a match pool to support the library. And as a result, we'll be having a few fundraisers. We'll have raffle baskets at the library from September 1st through September 15th, and we have some great prizes to raffle off. And we'll also be having our fall book sale on Saturday, September 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and a bag of books is only $10. So please come out and support the library. And information about all of our programs and events can be found on our website, or just give us a call. We're happy to talk to you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other civic announcements? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Tom Banta. I'm the Assistant Chief for the Renton Volunteer Fire Department, here to give the council a monthly update. Through July, we've responded to 322 calls, 174 fire-related calls, and 148 QRS calls. The month of July was our busiest month so far this year. We've had 57 calls, 33 fire calls, and 24 QRS calls. Important to note with those 24 calls that we were first on scene 5 times before Plum EMS providing patient care. Our top 3 fire calls this year are automatic fire alarms, followed by motor vehicle accidents, and then fires. Our response time has remained pretty consistent throughout the year. It takes us an average of 4 minutes to call en route, 5.5 minutes to get on scene, and we're on scene an average of 23 minutes. Important to recognize a couple of our members. Volunteer Mark Ellis has responded to 46% of our calls. I went to WVU, so my math isn't real good, but 149 calls. It's amazing this year. Chris Delsignor, 44% of our calls. Those are our 2 highest responders. We have 2 other junior firefighters, Seth and Logan Walters, both completed mods 1, 2, and 3 this year. 14 years old, joined our department on their birthday, already put in over 100 hours of training. They have 1 more mod they'll have to get through before they can become an interior fighter, and unfortunately for them, it's going to take 3 years because you have to be 18 to take that class. We also had Aaron Smith and Zach Keller complete emergency vehicle operation training, so there'll be 2 new drivers on our team. And later this month, next Friday, we'll start joint training with Unity They're going to sponsor Man vs. Machine, so the 4 Plum departments will get together and have a good training session. As far as carbon monoxide detectors, we've distributed over 500 detectors. Mayor, we got your resident. She was
Thank you.
taken care of a couple weeks ago, and we have about 500 more left to distribute. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other civic announcements? Okay, moving on to President's comments. I've got a few things to discuss relative to the Stormwater Task Force. Had a couple of big events last month. On July 13th, we held a rain barrel event. We had about 24 individuals from the community come out and participate in the rain barrel event. Highly successful. I've actually gotten inquiries via email on when we would potentially hold the event again. So we'll be talking with the task force about potentially putting on another event. Yes.
We have one scheduled already.
Ah, there we go.
September.
So it sounds like there's going to be one
Trying to pull it up on the website.
scheduled for September. We'll see if we can get a date for that. The other event that took place in July was on the 17th. We held our public meeting to discuss the status and the work that's being done by the Stormwater Task Force. On the agenda, we went over a number of things to include the background on the task force, a summary of the annual work, the financial expenses and grants that have been obtained to allocate towards stormwater work, some of the long-term projects that we've been focusing on over the course of the last couple of years, both the O Block and Center Beach projects. We went over a review of retention ponds, and then we had a special guest speaker from the Penn State Cooperative Education Group, Miss Mary Wilson, who provided a presentation on stormwater best management practices, which was very well received, a lot of good information that she put out, and we're certainly looking to get her back for another presentation in the near future. But it was a really good event. We were able to interface with a few members of the community that came out, and we believe that we'll probably schedule another one once we get the task force back together again to determine the best time frame for conducting it. It was unfortunate that we had to wait so long to have this public meeting. We were trying to do it about 3 months ago, but due to the restrictions with COVID and things of that nature, we obviously had to wait until this last month in order to actually pull it off. So we appreciate those who participated, and it looks like Mike has that date.
It's Wednesday, October 14th from 6 to 7, limited to the first 30 people who register. The registration is actually going to be in this month's edition of the Plum magazine as well, or you can just register online.
Great, outstanding. So that information will get put out, and like for those of you who are interested and want to partake in the next Rain Barrel event, keep an eye out for that. And October 14th, you said?
October 14th.
October
Wednesday,
14th will be the date. And that's all I have for President's comments. Oh, the next Stormwater Task Force meeting will take place September, I believe it's September 24th. But we'll make sure if that's not the appropriate date that we get that
That's
out
a
to the
Friday.
task force members. Is that a Friday?
That's a
It's going to
Friday.
be a Thursday, so it must be the
The
23rd.
23rd?
Yeah, September 23rd. Thanks, Paul.
If I can make a comment on that, just real
Sure,
quick.
absolutely.
I wasn't able to, I was away on a vacation that week when both of those events came. But my son was able to come in to the Rain Barrel seminar, and he was, really appreciative of all the information. He knew from me what Rain Barrels do and everything, but the whole, best practice thing and everything that the demonstration that lady did, I guess, he said it was excellent. And the people that I know on the Stormwater Task Force Committee, no, I'm sorry, not the Storm, it's the Plum Boro Flood Victims Committee. A couple of them were at the actual Stormwater Management meeting. And they said the information that was given that day was terrific. They were really, amazed at all the stuff that's already been done, because most of it is boring, but it's permitting and everything. So, but it all has to be done before actual work can be done. And, they were really happy with the information that was shared, so I just wanted to pass that along.
Thanks, Dave. So that concludes President's comments. Next is citizens' comments on agenda items. I have none here for any agenda items, so we are now moving on to council actions. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to approve an amended site plan for MVP Properties SP-03-19 to allow 25 outdoor spaces for the storage of vehicles and trailers in front of the existing facility, contingent upon the applicant installing privacy slats on 2 of the 4 sides of the existing fence.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
I'll second it with discussion.
Certainly. Discussion on this item?
I missed the work session last week. I do apologize for that. I was out of town. This is the property we were talking about that is on 909, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
that's correct.
We discussed at the prior work session as to the formalities of them coming and changing, basically filling an application and then changing what they actually did. Was that rectified?
It was. So he actually came to the work session
Okay.
and presented the information to council relative to the changes, why they were made, and
Great.
the nature of what they were going to do to
And
address the
everyone was
visibility.
satisfied with the response?
Yes.
All right, great. That's my only question.
Yep.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So we have a motion by Mr. Vento, second by Mr. Doyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Also, on behalf of the committee, I move to approve FSC-06-21, the Coddington Lot Line Revision, contingent upon the final review of the borough engineer.
Motion by Mr. Vento,
Second.
second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve a cost of living increase for a retired police officer as recommended by the Borough Actuary.
We have a motion by Mr. Hadley,
Seconded.
second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to accept the resignation and approve the separation agreement of Joseph Fischetti, effective August 9th, 2021.
Motion by Mr. Hadley,
Second.
second by Mr. Doyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, Mr. Pastor.
Thank you. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to award the bid for the Malabar Drive culvert replacement to the low bidder, Lone Pine Construction, at a cost of $244,441.
Motion by Mr. Pastor,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Pastor. And I know a lot of people are anxious to see those repairs to be done on Malabar, so we can open that back up. Hopefully, we can get that going as soon as possible, now that it's been approved, and the construction can take place. Tentatively looking at maybe an October, November timeframe to have that reopened. So, next on our agenda is the mayor's report. Mayor Slagle.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, during the month of July, our officers responded to 966 calls for service. We had the ATS radar display out there again, and it's on Sheer Road. 153,778 vehicles in 29 days. I mean, I don't know where all these cars are coming from. However, the highest speed was 70 mile per hour. And one, I gotta call him an idiot because they take the picture of the vehicle. We can't tell who's driving the vehicle. This guy was on a motorcycle. We got his picture.
Check that picture, Paul.
Is that mine?
Is it Mike?
Is it Mike?
It's either me or Paul.
That's a 25 mile an hour zone, and he's doing 64. The highest was 70. but he's on a motorcycle, and they're taking your picture. Why, I don't know. On 1100 block of O Block Road, these are the roads you keep hearing me report. We keep getting calls for down there. 46,450 vehicles. Highest speed, 51 mile an hour. And again, that's 25. 618 Miller's Lane on June 24th through July 22nd. 1,611 vehicles over 28 days. That's probably average for that road. 39 mile per hour, not that bad. The sign is having an effect. It's the second or third time it's been there. 1800 block of O Block Road. 46,448 vehicles. And again, somebody had to do 51 mile an hour and a 25. Trestle Road. 5,718 vehicles. And the highest speed there was 54 mile an hour. I wish there was some way we could capture license plates or something to get these people to make them slow down. And I have a feeling it's repeats, but that's just my opinion. Our officers participate in a number of training seminars that during the month of July. And again, our thoughtful citizens. On July 6th, Nancy Slatter brought in 5 thank you cards, which were made by her summer camp kids from the Plum Presbyterian Church. The cards were for bravery and dedication to the community and community service. They declined to have their photo taken. We'd like to have these photos and put them back there in the office. The officers very much appreciate those sentiments, particularly coming from the kids. And on July 23rd, Mark Reed again continued his support of the police department by providing brownies that were made by the Friends of Lori and Mark Petty, gallons of ice cream. Chief, I don't get these calls. Along with plates, bowls, utensils for the officer's birthday that occurred during the month of July. And on July 29th, Michael Cerniglia of Michael's Painting, once again, he provided donuts to our officers to show his continuous support for the police department. A heartfelt thank you from myself, and I'm sure from council, and the police department to all these people. They keep bringing this in. They don't have to, but it is very much appreciated, and it's one of the reasons that the morale in that department is so high. Part of it is due because of the leadership with both chiefs, Conley and Assistant Chief Fosteretta, but it's the citizens that make the most difference to those officers and their attitude. And again, all I can say is thank you. And sir, that is it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Moving on to committee reports, the Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee with the Plum School District. We don't have anything specific to report for that committee. So we're moving on to the Finance Committee. Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. The financial report for August 9, 2021. General fund highlights for this month. The borough recognized revenues totaling $1,067,872 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $919,946,000. Regarding the revenues to date, we received $2,268,000 in current year-end income tax revenues, and this represents 58% of the adopted budget. During the month of July, the borough received $63,762 under deed transfer tax. When compared to 2020, year-to-date collection are $85,000 higher than in 2021. A total of $63,425 was received again against the Regional Asset District revenue line, and that is currently 65% of budget. Overall, revenues continue to trend as anticipated. Regarding the expenditures through the month of July, the borough has expended 54% of the budget, which represents $7.49 million. From a departmental standpoint, we have no current budget concerns, and expenditures are trending as expected. And due to the strength of the borough's fund balance in the general fund, it is projected that the borough will not need to draw off the 2021 tax anticipation note. And that ends my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Who is next?
Mr. Pastor.
Roads.
Roads, Equipment, and Grounds. Sorry about that.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Pastor.
Thank you. Project updates for the month of July are as follows. We have had a pre-construction meeting with the paving contractor, and they are anticipating starting the first week of August. The COG has awarded the Holiday Park Phase 2 Stormwater Project. We've had a pre-construction meeting with the contractor, and they are planning to start the second week of August. Road maintenance updates for the month of July include, we have completed inlet repairs on the following streets: Justine Drive, Murath Lane, College Avenue, Tampico Court, and Regency Drive. We replaced failing pipes, at the new coffee shop on Route 286 before the parking area is paved. We repaired inlet and replaced 200 feet of 18-inch pipe on Route 909 at Coxcomb Lane. We've done extensive tree trimming of the right-of-ways along Kane Road, Old Ebers Creek Road, and Clements Road. Grading and topsoil were installed at the newly completed Renton Park playground area. We are continuing working on the MS4 inspections, and we've started work on some of the retention ponds and bioretention areas that were called out during those inspections. This will be an ongoing area of work for the department. We have ordered and installed street signs with the new logos for different areas, and we have been doing roadside vegetation mowing and have begun milling and asphalt patching in various locations. We've completed the dirt hauling for the new building site, and we've installed new street signs as was necessary. End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor. Public Safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. Odo. Mr. Maloney, if you want to come forward and read the EMS report, please.
I can see him hiding back there.
I didn't recognize him without his glasses.
Or his white
I'll tell you
shirt.
what, it changes a life, right? But no, Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I will say, and start off, it was nice to hear a lot of Renton Volunteer Fire Department's numbers and what they've been doing for the community, and that's what a lot of the fire departments are, and we greatly appreciate their support. In July, we actually had one of the busiest months of the calendar year. We did a total of 262 responses. And that resulted in 167 transports. So extremely busy. The crews were pretty much hustling. They do the best they can to do a quick turnaround time at the hospital so they can get back to the community. We did need mutual aid to come into Plum 10 times throughout the month, but that's only 4.7% of the time EMS was needed that we had to have, mutual aid come in. So I can't give enough credit to the crews and how hard they work. And how much they care for their patients. A lot of times they truly do treat them like family members. We did end up going to some neighboring communities about 32 times throughout July. 21 of those resulted in transports. But as far as Plum EMS news, on Saturday, August 21st, us and a number of other agencies are partnering together to do a child passenger safety clinic, like a car seat check. It's going to be held at Holiday Park Volunteer Fire Department. And what we're trying to do is kind of like a little bit of a public safety thing, because we have like county police and some other folks part of this as well. So we got registration in progress. We have about half the spots filled, but we have 17 checks already scheduled out of all that. So it's going to be a fun morning. Holiday Park's helping with us, having their fire apparatuses on display. I know Plum Police will be there, Plum EMS, like I said, county police. And so we're just trying to make a little something of it. I think some folks are doing some free food and drinks, so we really encourage, but registration is required because you have to have an appointment. So we encourage you to visit our website and our Facebook page, and you'll be able to get set up. And I know the borough's helped us out with putting in Savvy Citizen, also on the borough Facebook page. Other than that, we are also proud that we do work a lot with the community, especially with doing car seat safety checks by appointments when they come to the station. But we also provide free car seats to people who need them or can't afford them. Our goal is to make sure that there's a safe place for that child to be. We even have a relationship with Forbes Hospital. If they have a family that comes in that needs a car seat that doesn't have one for the newborns, they call us. And Joe and I are actually delivering a car seat tomorrow morning for a family. That's what we do. We also have free cribs. So a child less than 1 year of age, if they need a free place to sleep, we give them away as much as we can. We partnered up with Cribs for Kids, and it's one of the best things that, best organizations that we've really worked with. So please keep that in mind. So other than that, questions, comments, good things, good stories, fun stories, what do you got for me?
Nothing we can say on TV.
You're all good.
All right.
I just want to say, tell everybody out there, thank you, because
Yeah, that's great.
that's what they're doing out there, and the same with the police and the fire departments. That makes this a great place to live and a great place to raise a child.
It does. Good community. Thank you.
Yeah, I just always look at your numbers of how many times we need other communities to come in the Plum, but how many times we cover for them. So you're always less here, so that just stands to the testament of your scheduling, of your crews, and how you guys, work with everything, so.
That's
phenomenal.
also because of the direct support from the community. Without what you do for us, we wouldn't be able to do that. We would be at some organizations where we would turn over close to 25% of calls to mutual aid. I've worked at places like that because we didn't have the resources that we do here in Plum. So we greatly appreciate what you do for us so we can help the community. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
That's all I have, Mr. Odom, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Planning and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. The Planning and Economic Development Report for July 2021. Financial summary, there were 69 permits issued and $21,289 in revenue. There were a lot of meetings and conferences this month. Some of the few that stand out are worked with the DCED on the drawdown of grant funds for park projects, rep road grading issues, new municipal building phone issues, and meet with PBMA to discuss billing issues for garbage and recycling. I guess with the turnover of the garbage contractor, that's something that have to get straightened out. And also, there was an NPDES pre-application phone conference. I imagine that was probably for something that the stormwater management has coming up. So probably get more on that to you later when something concrete happens there. And housing plan issues, working on Oakmont Heights Phase 3 development agreement. So that plan's moving along. Utility / right-of-way issues, located infrastructure on Farneth Road, updated Catskill Road crossing between 531 and 534 Catskill Road, and attempt to locate pipe leading to junior high. Updates to garbage sanitation account layer, published subdivision layer with corresponding recorded plans, worked on sharing the GIS sanitation layer with the Plum Boro Municipal Authority, uploaded 2021 imagery, attempting to add as the main base layer. So that's good. That's getting really current. That's not usual. So code enforcement issues. There were 59 occupancy inspections, 21 complaints addressed, including abandoned vehicles, junk and debris, high grass and weeds, and stormwater damage. Fire calls for flooding, natural gas in a residence, and structural damage. Streetlight inspections. Demolition hearings were on July 26th. Training. There was a code enforcement webinar that was attended by staff. Grant issues. Working with the Turtle Creek Valley COG on a CDBG pre-application for demolition funds. This is a program that's, I think, doled out by the federal government through the state, and now it's coming to the communities as long as we meet their requirements. Right, Dave?
Correct.
So that'll save us money from us having to demolish these buildings ourselves. So it's a great time. We'll take it if we can get it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. That concludes our committee reports. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Parks and Recreation. Mr. Delaney is not present. We don't have anything for Parks and Rec, but I will go over some of the borough haps that are taking place this month in August and beyond. First is the Monday Market, which we began back in May and will run through October 25th from 3 to 7 at Plum Creek Park. The market is growing. We've got about 18 vendors that are registered, and we also feature a different food truck every week. So if you can make your way out to Plum Creek Park on Mondays, you can participate in the market. We also have our Movies in the Park, our Summer Movie in the Park series, which concludes this Saturday on August 14th. The feature film will be Kicking and Screaming. The event begins with pre-show activities and complimentary popcorn. And we usually kick it off around 7, 8 o'clock, Vince, somewhere around there. And it's really a great opportunity to spend some time with your family, watch a great movie, sit outside and, watch the stars. It's really nice. So if you can make your way out to the park, that's actually up at Larry Mills Park. We also have Fall Fest 2021, which is coming up on Saturday, September 25th, from noon until 6 p.m. That will be held at Plum Creek Park. There will be children activities from 1 to 4, and will include a pumpkin patch games and pony rides. And then, as we previously mentioned before, we're going to hold another Rain Barrel workshop, which will take place on October 14th from 6 to 7. Space is limited to the first 30 individuals who register, and the cost of the workshop is $35. That concludes our committee reports. Now we'll move on to the next item, which is the Planning Commission. They will not meet in August. And the last item on our agenda is citizen comments on non-agenda items. I do have 4 individuals who have signed up. If you would approach the podium, state your name and address when called. First, we have Sierra Kaufman.
Hello, my name is Sierra Kaufman. I live at 588 Rainier Drive, and I'm here. I spoke to Mr. Delaney on the internet about getting the ordinance changed because I have had my pet pigs for about 4 years. I was not aware that I was not allowed to have them. I had a variance hearing a couple weeks ago, and it was denied. So he recommended that I come talk to you fine folks and try to get the ordinance changed. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a background. As I have here, it shows a farm pig next to a mini pig. Generally, when people think of mini pigs, they think of pot bellies. And so they're much smaller. The pigs that I have, they're not farm pigs, they are pets. Mini pigs are becoming very popular pets these days. They are the 5th smartest animal. They make really good pets. It's the minor part of my family. It's just like having a dog, except they are quieter than dogs. They don't bark, and they smell better than dogs. So a lot of people think pigs stink, and they don't. They are cleaner than dogs generally. So I also know a lot of people in the community are also interested in having pet chickens. I don't know too much about chickens, so I'm going to let the other people speak about the chickens. But I believe that we should change our ordinance to include pet pigs, that you can have pet pigs or mini pigs on lots smaller than 2 acres. They really don't need that much room. In my binder here, I have some pictures of them too if anybody would like to look at them. I have a list of signatures from about 30 of my neighbors stating that they all don't have a problem with the pigs. They don't bother anyone. They don't change the integrity of the neighborhood. Does anyone have any questions?
May I see your information? Thank you. How long have you had your pet pig?
Over 4 years.
I'll bring this back to you afterwards.
And I do have 2 pigs. Because they are such social and smart animals, it's really unhealthy for the pig to be alone. They really do best in pairs. And I know some places like Penn Hills and Forest Hills have recently updated their ordinance to be a little bit more modern with what people consider pets these days.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next, we have Aaron, and I'm sorry, I'm not. Okay, yeah, it's a tough one. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erin Messenger. You has check. I live at 4649 Sardis Road, 5 minutes from here, and Nicole is also going to be speaking with me. I have lived here my entire life. My parents bought their first and only home here in 1986. My husband and I bought our home here in 2012, and we are still there. But I am here to discuss the ordinance requiring residents to have 2 or more acres in order to have backyard chickens, and we do have a proposal that would be more appropriate.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Mckinley. My husband and I live at 4700 Sardis Road. I also grew up in Plum. I remember when my family first moved from Penn Hills to Plum when I was in 5th grade, and I was devastated because I hated the idea of living in the middle of nowhere. Quickly learning that this is one of the best places that you can live. I was not a fan of the farmland. Now I am here wishing that we had more of it. Plum's roots are in farming, and before all of the beautiful countryside was taken over by housing developments, there were acres and acres of property with all kinds of animals, including chickens. I'm here today to dispute the current ordinance for raising fowl in Plum Boro and to create an understanding around backyard chickens that dispels the incorrect information that seems to be circulating.
So, as Nicole just mentioned, most people think that you need all of these acres in order to have animals like chickens, but the truth is that's not accurate. Chickens need specifically two things. They need a safe, predator-proof coop and potentially 10 feet of covered run space if you are not, in fact, free-ranging. This is easily achievable where we live. It's also currently achievable in Oakmont, Penn Hills, Monroeville, and Fox Chapel. The current ordinance in Plum states that fowls shall not be permitted on lots having an area less than 2 acres. The average land requirement for chickens in the neighboring communities that I mentioned is 2,000 square feet. For my people that mentioned they didn't like math earlier, that comes out to 0.0459 acres. If you do that math, Plum has 43.5 times the land requirement as our neighboring communities. One of the other neighboring communities specifically is City of Pittsburgh. They also only need 2,000 square feet for 5 chickens. And we're talking about hens, not roosters. Roosters are the live alarm clocks. Not interested in that. We want hens. That being said, in other words, our ordinance is pretty excessive and unnecessary, especially since we are a community with our roots in farming. We know that we have quite a few housing developments. We heard about Oakmont Heights just a few minutes ago. So the question then becomes, so what if you live in a neighborhood? Why should you want to have chickens, or why should you want to be allowed to have chickens? It comes down to a couple different things. First and foremost, fresh eggs. You have the entertainment value if you're an animal person, education as far as learning where food comes from, and also the health benefits. Outside of the initial coop cost, organic eggs cost about $3 a dozen if you have your own backyard coop. At the grocery store or a farmer's market, it's about $5 a dozen. Also, speaking of the grocery store piece of this, we've known from the last year and a half that grocery store supplies are not guaranteed. So this kind of allows you to be a little more self-sufficient, which we've already seen from our rain barrel workshops that I believe you said was coming up in the middle of October. So just adding into that self-sustaining piece, as far as the education, teaching children animal husbandry and care, like I said, learning where your food comes from, and the overall health aspects of it. Backyard chicken eggs, farm-raised eggs, typically have 67% more vitamin A than store-bought eggs. They have 200% more omega-3s, 300% more vitamin E, and 700% more beta-carotene, 33% less cholesterol, and 25% less saturated fat. Overall with this, store-bought eggs are bleached, thus negatively having those effects on our own food. As far as the maintenance end of things, backyard chickens are pretty easily maintained. As I said, great way to learn about different types of animals, husbandry care, whether you're an adult or a child. Okay? Caring for chickens allows children the opportunity to learn about where our food comes from and about humane chicken keeping versus industrial egg production. A conversation I had with someone earlier was they didn't want a chicken living in a cage. That is literally what happens for your eggs to be on the store shelf at Walmart. Backyard coops are much more humane. If you want to have that discussion, more than happy to. As far as the rest of that goes, before I kick it over to Nicole, chickens have quite quirky personalities, so they're fun to watch. They also currently are being used for therapeutic benefits for people suffering with depression, anxiety, isolation, and dementia. And then my favorite part of all of this is their natural pest control. I have dogs that are outside, and every time my friends' kids come over, there's the issue of needing to check everyone for ticks. Chickens eat ticks, they eat spiders, they eat grubs, mosquitoes, larvae, all those other things that you now don't have to deal with because you have backyard chickens. So I'm gonna kick that over to Nicole.
Okay, let's talk about some of the issues and some of the chicken myths that we can bust. Number 1, chickens smell. This is false. Chickens don't smell any more than any other animals. A properly maintained coop has no objectionable odors. Will a coop smell if it's never cleaned? Yes. Just like a cat litter box or a dog kennel. Very little solid waste is produced by chickens, and what is produced can be composted to make great fertilizer. Composted chicken manure can eventually be used for your garden, which is a reason why people who have hobbies like gardening are often interested in keeping chickens and vice versa. There are laws against animal abuse and neglect, and those should apply to all animals. The ordinance should be in regards to neglect, instead of keeping residents from having chickens at all. Number 2, chickens are loud. I am surprised by the number of people that don't know the difference between a hen and a rooster. Chickens are not loud, hens are not. Hens and roosters are not the same, and we are not asking to have roosters, which can be quite noisy. In fact, many boroughs have ordinances that don't allow for roosters because of this. However, you don't need roosters to produce eggs, only to fertilize them if wanting to raise more chickens. Hens will produce eggs regularly without roosters, and laying hens are actually quieter than dogs are. A hen will squawk when she lays an egg, which happens once a day, or less, depending on the breed and the season, and will make about as much noise as an air conditioner. That is it. That's as loud as they get. The noise argument is based on basic ignorance about chickens and biology. Many uneducated people think they will hear crowing if their neighbors keep hens for eggs because they think a rooster is required for egg production, but he's not. Number 3, chickens will attract wild animals to my backyard. False. Not any more than a dog, your family's garbage, a bird feeder, or a pond would. There won't be a magic spike in wild animal numbers because of backyard chickens. When secured at night in their coop, as they should be, you can expect to not have any predators in your yard. It's the same with bringing a dog or cat inside at night. Predators are not hanging around coops that they can't get into. So in summary, backyard chickens provide benefits that far outweigh any negative aspects to keeping them. They provide eggs with a higher nutritional value, they keep pests at bay, their waste can be used for fertilizer, and they provide family education and entertainment. While the landscape of Plum has changed over the years, we are historically a farming community, and our residents should be able to keep backyard chickens. You shouldn't have to live in the city of Pittsburgh to do it. And seeing as our exorbitantly high taxes are all based on property, residents should be able to use their land in a way they see fit, as long as it isn't interfering with neighbors or causing any type of disruption. The current ordinance needs to be changed to allow any resident with 2,000 square feet the opportunity to raise backyard chickens. Thank you.
And if you guys would like, we have a chart of all the neighboring communities. I can email this or make copies to whomever, and what all of the current ordinances are.
Oh, wow, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's clear that you guys definitely did your homework here, and we appreciate all the information. We'll take it under advisement. Thank you very much. Next, we have Mr. Rich Lang.
Good evening. My name is Rich Lang. I live at 1008 Michelle Road. I lived in Plum Boro for 15 years. For the last 4 going on 5 years, my wife and I have put on a girls softball tournament / college showcase. We've been using the borough fields here at Plum for the last 4. This year we requested field usage from the PBSA and we were turned down. Just didn't get really a good explanation as to why, other than we have concerns over insurance and using our equipment. We have our own insurance. We've always had our own insurance. We have our own equipment. In the last 4 years, we've given $500 donations to the PBSA for the use of the fields. All we are trying to do is put on a tournament to help not only the girls that play softball in Plum, like my daughter, but girls in the surrounding communities get seen by college showcases or college coaches without having to drive to Ohio or West Virginia or New York. This is a fall tournament. We had over 40 college coaches here last year, 50 teams at roughly 12 girls a team. That's 600 kids. Now you multiply that by 2 because you have at least one parent coming here with every one of those children. It's 1,200 people that come through the borough of Plum in one weekend. Those people will spend their money at gas stations, restaurants, other areas to bolster the economy. Whoever does the concessions at the PBSA fields have made money on concessions. So I don't know if there's anything that council can do to help us get the use of those fields for the weekend of October 2nd and 3rd. But I have coaches, team coaches as well as college coaches reaching out to us and going, hey, when's your tournament? By this time, we've already generally advertised it when it's going to be, everything like that, and now I'm in a holding pattern. I'm also trying to get, I'm talking to PBSA right now, trying to get the field usage approved for a high school tournament to benefit the Plum softball boosters, the high school team. I'm the president of the Plum High School Softball Boosters, and I believe on Thursday night of this week, the PBSA board is going to vote to give us permission to use the fields for our tournament there September 11th. You know, my volunteers from my team, this is my personal team, not like a whole organization. My team does this. My parents of 12 children spend their whole weekend at the Borough Fields making sure all of our trash is picked up. Everything looks as good in the park as it did the day we came down there and took over. So all I'm asking is for Borough Council to maybe talk to PBSA or do whatever you guys can do to help us make this the 5th successful year of softball tournament and college showcase. Any questions?
Any questions? So we don't understand why you're being told no.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be to get in contact with Mr. Thomas here.
Okay.
With the date for your event, and we'll work to make sure that that event can take place as long as the borough staff approves it.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Rich.
Yes, ma'am.
I did forget to mention one thing. I was wondering if there was any way we could put a stay on my pigs being allowed to stay on the property until a decision is made. I do know that if the ordinance is going to be changed, it could take some time, and it is quite traumatic for them to be separated from their family and relocated temporarily.
My understanding is that there has been a decision rendered by the zoning hearing board
Yes.
that denied your request.
Yes.
The remedy for you is to take an appeal from that decision.
Yes, I am planning on appealing it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you can, I assume you're going to have an attorney involved.
Yes.
Okay. You should seek his or her advice. There's a way to make a request for a stay, and they have to do that through the court.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, there are no other individuals who signed up for public comments on non-agenda items. That certainly doesn't prevent anyone else from coming up and speaking if they so desire. Okay, seeing none, we will move to close the meeting with adjournment, with a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Doyle, second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.